everyone hear me? Great. We've only got 15 minutes, and I'm not Sedge, I'm Mel. Sedge, sadly, has got norovirus, and we are going to be as quick as possible to get you as much information as possible. I have the stunning Mel Chapman, who is the CEO of Jungle Creations.
Yes.
A phenomenal combination of marketing. I will let her introduce herself more. Then I've got Chloe from JD Sports, and then I've also got John and Alex, who run the fastest growing YouTube channel in the entire UK. So quite a phenomenal feat.
Props to you.
Thank you.
So, sorry I'm reading my phone. It's because I'm tagging in last minute. Influence marketing spend in the US is predicted to reach $9.29 billion, and the creator space is constantly evolving. But one thing that's here to stay is YouTube. We're seeing more brands launching channels like Gymshark and creators achieving unprecedented engagement. Mr. Beast regularly surpasses 100 million views per video, and many exceed 200 million. Football superstar Ronaldo's channel launched just 4 months ago and already has hit 73 million followers. To me, YouTube isn't a social channel. Unlike platforms that offer instant follower boosts or quick click-through rates, YouTube requires patience, and for creators and brands, it can be hard to invest in a channel where you don't see immediate results. Chloe, talk me through how long it took for JD Sports' YouTube channel to go up and running, and how do you measure success?
So we had a channel for 10 years, and it was doing okay, but there was no strategy, there wasn't really any connection, the brand love wasn't there. And then I kind of took over the management of the channel 2.5 years ago, and we completely kind of ripped up the rule book and re-strategized the channel. We're in a really fortunate position because we had really key talent affiliations in place, so we were contracted with Chunks and some of the other Beta Squad guys, and so we were fortunate enough to bring them on board and kind of build a strategy around them. And then, so that's been going for about 2.5 years. What else did you ask me? How the success of the channel? We measure it right now. We're quite lucky in that our objective is community and to build brand love, to build a connected audience. I'm sure you all will have heard of JD, and it hasn't always had the most positive affinity or rep with its customers. And so we, along with social, and a new social strategy that we've got in place, are trying to build brand love. And I think we're doing a really good job of it. We hit, our engagement was up 425% year on year from 24 to 23. So we're doing an okay job.
Phenomenal job. John and Alex, with 3.4 million followers on YouTube alone, how do you view your YouTube compared to the other channels in terms of audience and engagement? With YouTube being your leading performing channel, how do you ensure you're not leaving the others behind and covering all your bases?
Do you want to go for it?
You start us off.
I'll start.
Yeah, go on.
I think the difference with YouTube is you've longer form videos, so audience get to spend more time with you. So therefore, I think it's a more heartfelt engagement. Whenever it's on TikTok or Instagram and it's shorter form content, it's you'll get the likes, you get the views, but the audience maybe see less personality or engage on a more shallow level. Because I think with YouTube, for us, it is our priority. We build for YouTube. We just post the shorts on other platforms is really what we do. And yeah, it's YouTube first for us, and the community over there's definitely like a deeper level of engagement.
Do you find your audience hops each channel, or have you kind of segmented a different audience across each one?
Alex might have a better answer on that, but from my take, I don't know how we can track, like, if they are hopping, but I assume they only watch each piece of content once.
Yeah, it's difficult to track ultimately. I'd imagine they kind of pick their platform when they live on that platform primarily, because given the fact that our retention rates are so high across the board, you'd think that ultimately the platforms are clever enough to determine whether someone's watching on YouTube and then perhaps they're not going to service them on Instagram because they typically reject it there because perhaps they've seen it on YouTube primarily first. So I think it's people find their platform they're native to mainly, and that's where they consume more content.
Great, thank you. And Mel.
Hello.
Considering YouTube is a harder, quick result, quick fix, endorphin rush, what's your secret sauce for doing brand content on YouTube?
Yeah, I guess a little bit about Jungle for those who aren't familiar first. We're sort of a business of two parts. So we have our own network of channels that live in interest areas, so Twisted in food and drink, 4ix9ine in female lifestyle. So we build our own audiences and our own communities across all the platforms. And then we've got a social and influencer agency part of the business is where we support brands on doing that. And I think a lot of brands that we talk to about YouTube, it's quite
intimidating because it is longer form, which typically means bigger levels of investment, higher levels of risk. You don't get those quick sort of dopamine TikTok and viral hits that everybody sort of claps each other about on LinkedIn, and they're still fantastic. But actually cracking that nut of YouTube, it creates, I think, a bigger investment. And what we did for ourselves as a business, because we were bootstrapped publishing for a long time, is test and learn through your short form. When you build love on TikTok for a format or a series, can I then extend that into YouTube? And then suddenly it's a little bit de-risked. And actually with the launch of YouTube Shorts recently, how can brands actually create segments of a podcast or a show without developing the full thing, prove to themselves that there's love and there's desire for their community on it, and then make that investment decision to build out. So that's sort of how we've been approaching it with brands, because not everybody has chunks or tremendous budgets, and even if you do, it takes a lot of skill. As you know, 10 years and then you took over and you did more than okay, you're smashing it. So yeah, that's sort of how we tend to approach it.
And on that, how do you find that with JD you can separate out from the strategy you built around your talent away from JD to ensure that you're not reliant on the talent to drive that YouTube space?
So that's kind of phase one was talent first. Not purposely, actually. It's just kind of, I work in a very talent first way. So we've used the beta squad or tapped into the beta squad and their community to establish our own. Phase two, which we're going into now, is to continue that community and brand love outside of them. So we can bring, and we don't just have the beta squad on our channel, we have a lot of different talent and we have a lot of guest talent. But we've now got a really engaged and established audience that we can leverage across new talent coming up or different formats that we wouldn't be able to do before. So we can now push the boat both from a talent point of view but from a creative point of view as well, now that we've got that core audience.
That's great. Now, I found out just 2 minutes ago that 2 years ago, John was an air traffic controller and now has the fastest growing YouTube channel in the whole of the UK. Second plug, don't worry about it. Which is amazing, because I think from someone who isn't a social media first background, you kind of can find it easy to go, oh, YouTube's been done to dust and I'll never be able to get cut through now. You obviously have with phenomenal success. What would you kind of put that to if you could choose 3 things that have been your gold dust?
Alex's brain and Alex's work ethic. Honestly, I got very lucky in meeting Alex. I was in air traffic control at the time, and we just worked together like perfectly. I don't think we've had a fight yet, babe, have we?
Not yet, no.
No, we honestly, we go on like a house on fire. Like, we've known each other a few years now, and it's just, we're both obsessed. We both non-stop. We both have the work ethic. We both fly everywhere, do everything, say yes to things. We both prioritize good content, not just good content, great content. We learn from what goes right and what goes wrong. And if I hadn't met Alex, I still would be an air traffic controller, 100%. But yeah, this job's definitely a little bit more stressful, strangely. But yeah, I think that's what happens when you're your own boss.
And how do you find with YouTube, which is obviously the least back and forth with your community out of most social media channels, how do you get the best feedback to ensure you are constantly innovating on your content to maintain, I'll go this way around this time?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just absolutely obsessed with data, so I'm absolutely always in the weeds of YouTube's analytics. It's got the most comprehensive back end, so I like to think that the perfect YouTube video will never be created, ultimately, because it will tell you, in terms of retention, how long a viewer's watched for. And unless that line is perfectly flat from the start to the end at 100%, which it will never be, it means that the perfect video is never created. So ultimately, I like to think that if you're objective enough to be able to take a step back and say that this video, like every video that's ever existed, is not perfect, YouTube will tell you where it's gone wrong. And if you're objective enough to accept that, then you can look into the data and accept that and essentially take incremental changes and make every single video 1% better. And we've made 1,000 videos now, and ultimately we've taken wins and losses from every single one. So our 1,001st video is infinitely better than our first, because we've taken all of these micro pieces of data and learnings and consistently added them. And this final product, if you take that all the way to the end, it's how Mr. Beast is where he is. If you look at his first videos, they're absolutely terrible. He would say that himself. He sat in front of a webcam counting to 100,000. They're awful. But ultimately, he is objective enough to accept that he's not going to make the perfect video, take these gains over and over and over and over again, and now he's making shows that cost hundreds of millions to produce.
Okay, great. And Chloe, how would you say you ensure that YouTube specifically, away from the other social media channels, has a dialogue with the customer so that you know you're putting out the content that's going to engage the most audience?
Yeah, I think we have the same process as these guys in that we are obsessive over data. I think what a lot of people underestimate about YouTube is the feedback that the channel gives you. Like Alex said, you can micromanage every second of every piece of content. So if you're looking at that and you're being observant enough of that, every video gets better until you're making curated content that is a perfect fit for your audience. I think just to add to that, we, my mind's gone blank, we allow talent to be talent, and so I never ever have briefed talent to say a certain thing, to be a certain way. They always get briefed to be completely themselves. I make content that I know will resonate with our audience because it's either trend-led or it's curated in a way that is built for what our audience are searching for and what they're watching. And I also think tone of voice, particularly from a brand point of view, is really important. Like the way you package things up in terms of thumbnails, titles, how you reply back to comments, like just having a bit of personality in your comments, and also listening to what they want and what they're saying, feeding that into your content, particularly from a brand point of view, is really, really important.
I feel like your answer's going to be the same, so I'm going to ask you a different question.
Oh, love that for me. It was. They nailed it.
Yeah, it was all very good answers. When you're separating out the commercial aspect of YouTube from the creative aspect, but obviously they drive each other, because you're working with brands, how do you ensure that they do both successfully?
Well, look, I think different brands that come to us often have a different objective, and it's not a one-size-fits-all strategy. Some brands will be looking for top of the funnel, brand awareness, brand love, brand affinity, and you would approach that in a very different way to a brand that might be looking at YouTube as a performance tool. And actually they want to drive units and go bottom of the funnel, and how do you then plug into paid media and influence marketing and then link that to your organic? So I haven't got like a straightforward question for you, but for us it's creating a really bespoke strategy per brand. Also, what we often do, at the start of an engagement is do a deep dive audit. What's happening with your competitors? How do we line that data? And actually, I think YouTube Studio is unrivaled for the amount of information it gives you, which can get very addictive. So yeah, a roundabout way of avoiding your question. It's very bespoke per client.
Okay, what's for you? What is like a perfect execution of a brand YouTube video, Chloe?
What do you mean in terms of
like a content series a brand has done and you think that's an example of success?
This is such a basic answer, but something like Pink Courtroom by PLT. I don't know if that's a shit answer or not, but I think like they've got Nella and they've tapped into her personality in such a way that she's entertaining and you can relate to her, and they've built something around her that, I mean, they do one series of it every year and it goes off every single year.
I think it's also shows how they really understand their customer and their audience, and they've aligned the perfect creator and culturally to their customer, the things they care about, the creators they're following, their interesting topics, and they're, even though it's not obviously linked to their brand, it does, and it doesn't feel like an advert, and offering true entertainment, which is the secret ingredient, really.
And it's kind of what YouTube's supposed to be, genuinely entertaining.
Yeah.
So, John, for 2025, you guys have to be forecasting the content you're planning. What, by the end of the year, how different do you think the content you'll be putting out will be to what you're doing right now?
What we do, or like across the board?
You do what, sorry?
What we do, or like across the board?
Personally.
What we do? I think for us it's just about leveling up. This is going to sound really, really obnoxious. Wince. I think like we've kind of done something quite new in the football space. We like to think we innovate, we make new content, we make things that people don't make, and we're getting a lot of copycats. That's happened for a long time now. So we're always having to compound on our success, reinvest the money that other people don't have, reinvest or utilize the access we now get because of the subscriber count that lovely brands give us that others don't, and make the best content possible so that others are struggling to keep up. Similar to what Mr. Beast has done in terms of compounding effect, constantly leveling up, constantly getting better. If you look a year ago, we were just in LA and Miami there, and we rented a Cybertruck because we can bang a couple of videos out of it. It's a bit of fun. 2 years ago, we'd have been sweating whether or not it pays for itself. A year ago, we might have been in that position. So now it's about like leveling up, reinvesting, bigger videos, bigger ideas, and just staying ahead of the pack, because everyone's learning, everyone's getting better, and there's more and more creators every day.
I don't think it's obnoxious at all. I think you have carved out a very innovative space in your industry. To that point of copycats, because you are at the forefront, because you're at the helm, would there ever be an opportunity where you'd want to reinvest in your copycats to kind of grow the category, because it kind of pumps up what you're doing at the forefront?
Nope.
Nope. Nope. No, I think when I say copycats as well, it can sound quite bitter. I think like when you really get into the weeds of content, everyone on YouTube, it takes inspiration from different niches and different places, different creators. I think the one thing that irks me is if someone steals your first 10 seconds of a video verbatim, they steal the packaging, the title, they steal the concept, and they steal your wording and your script. We've had people rip it, like our whole short form scripts, and they just do it again. That irks me, but that's a very, very small percentage. I think for us, the overarching point is compounding on success, leveling up, doing things we couldn't have dreamed of doing 6 months ago or a year ago. But would I reinvest in it? No. And it's all in on us, is what it is. But obviously collaboration with other creators, 100%. It's always something I'm looking to do and something I want to do more of, to be quite honest. I think because I've got this accent, people think I'm on the other side of the world, but I'm on planes all the time. I'm always in London, I'm always in Manchester, so just compounding success.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you so much to our amazing panel. I'm sure they will hang around and you can grab them for any questions, and thank you guys for listening.
Viva la YouTube.